Okay, this is the exercise that we did in class number 2 the other day. This is simply an exercise in triangulation, in being able to pick points and accurately place them on your paper. So the way this works is I have all these points laid out. And this line here that I've drawn around these points here, I drew this to let students in class know that they only had to do these points in here. And then if we had some students that were faster than others and were understanding this, then after they got these ones done, they could go ahead and do these ones as well. But the ones on the outside were not mandatory. So that was the whole point of having this line drawn around these points. What you want to do is you want to pick 2 points and get them onto your paper right away. That's going to be your starting point. Because to do triangulation, you always need at least 2 points to be able to figure out where the third one is located. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to start with these 2 right here. I'm just going to start at the top. I'm going to put this point on the paper and this point on the paper. And make sure when you place them you think about it. You don't want to put like 1 point here and then one way over here because the rest of them aren't going to sit on the paper. So I'm going to start with these 2. And I'm just going to say roughly about here's good for the first one. And then before I place the second one, as always, we got to make sure we're on the right angle. So I always start with this exercise in particular is to take a measurement of that angle. I'm lining my pencil up with these 2 dots and then I'm analyzing the angle. And what I like to use as a reference are the edges of the paper. So this is horizontal, this is vertical. So when I'm looking at this, I'm looking to see, is this perfectly horizontal? You know, when I compare my measurement of these 2 dots and then I dart my eyes back and forth between the edge of the paper and this, I can see that it slopes downward slightly. So what I want to do is draw a little reference line. And these are all construction lines, so you want to draw these light. So you could do this whole exercise with like a 4H pencil if you have one. If you don't have a 4H, then your next lightest one, like a 2H or an H, an HB. And all I'm doing is I'm just roughly drawing in that angle. And once I've drawn it in, then I can check it. I'm going to hold my pencil here, and then I'm going to move my pencil over here. This is a trick in itself too. You got to learn how to move your pencil over without changing the angle. And I can already see that mine needs to slope down a little bit more. Like this. So you draw a dot, draw the angle to the next dot, and then check the angle. So you analyze the angle, then you draw the angle, and then you check it. So I'm checking it by holding my pencil here and then moving it over here and seeing how close I am. Pretty good. And now for the second dot, I just have to guess where it is. I have to decide. And this is the only time you guess during this exercise. I'm just going to put it right there because this is now going to set the scale for the rest of the exercise. All right, so I have 2 dots. Now from here I can find any other dot on this paper and I can place it with pretty good accuracy. And this is how you do it. Let's go ahead, let's label these. We'll say this is 1, this is 2, 1, 2. Let's make this one 3. We're going to plot number 3 next. So I'm going to check the angle and then kind of roughly look over on my paper, and now I'm going to just try and draw the angle. You don't always get this right. That's why after you draw it, you now double check it. Bring your pencil over. It's not bad, it's pretty close. Alright, so I have the angle between 2 and 3, but I don't have the distance. Meaning I don't know where on this line that I just drew, I don't know where number 3 goes. So the way we find number 3 is now we're going to draw an angle between 1 and 3. And I'm going to say it kind of goes like this. So notice I'm doing this roughly because after I draw it now I need to check it. And to me it seems like it needs to maybe slope down a bit more like this. All right, I'm gonna check it again between 1 and 3. It's pretty good. So now, if I'm happy with it, where these two lines cross, right there, that's where I'm gonna put number 3. All right, so that's the process. Now I'm gonna repeat it for every single dot. As long as I have 2 dots on the paper, I can plot where the other one is. So let's say this is number 4 right here. Let's go ahead and figure that one out. So I'm gonna check my angle between 1 and 4, come over here, looks to me like it kind of goes this way. You gotta double check after you draw your line. Gotta double check because you don't always get this right. Bring it more this way. 1 and 4. That looks pretty good. So now I can pick any of these other dots to find the cross angle. I can pick either 2 or I can pick 3. Either one. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and pick 3 because it looks to me like it's almost horizontal. So I am just going to draw a horizontal line. Now the only thing I don't like about this is that I'm using a point that's really far away. And the further the dot away is from the one that you're trying to calculate, the more room you have for error to get it wrong. So I'm also going to double check it with number 2. But I just want to demonstrate to show that any dot will work. So between 3 and 4, it's not bad. It seems like it comes up maybe just a little bit here. So again, where it crosses is going to be right there. That's going to be number 4. I'm just going to real quickly just check the angle between 2 and 4. They look pretty good to me, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. All right, repeat the process. Let's find number 5. Kind of seems like it goes like this. Now let's check it between 1 and 5. It's almost vertical. 4 and 5 kind of goes more like this. So where they intersect right there. And now let me check between 5 and 3. Those aren't quite right. So sometimes you just gotta eyeball things and see, because you're gonna make little errors here and there because it's hard to get an exact angle when you're using this method. But the more dots you have on the paper, the more you can double check against other dots. And the whole purpose of this is in the construction phase. You can get your accuracy down first. So when you're creating your construction lines, this is a good way to represent, to find key landmarks in your construction lines. All right, let's go here. We'll call this number 6. It looks like it kind of comes like this. Let me double check it. Nope. Bring it up a bit. All right, now let's check 5 and 6 since they're close together. I like checking dots that are closer together. I feel like I get a little bit more accuracy. So it looks like it goes like that. Let's check 2 and 6. So yeah, it looks like it's going to hit somewhere right in here. Because I'm checking between 2 and 6. Somewhere right in here. So the more angles you can check, the more accurate you're going to be. Now 5 and 6 are a little bit off. So I'm going to say roughly about right there. Now nobody really likes this method. This method works great when you're doing like figure drawing from a live model. I find this to be the most accurate method. But the benefit of learning this method is that you start to define what your brain and your eyes are doing when you draw. you're looking for spatial relationships. You're looking for where something is located in comparison to something else. So that's why I find this exercise very useful. We're not necessarily going for extreme accuracy, but we want to be close. This is a great exercise in helping us get things roughly in the right spot so that we don't have these really gross errors. All right. That's not bad. It's not perfect, but that's the idea behind this exercise. So that's what we did in class. So everything I just did, basically I want you to do. Get used to being able to plot a point from two other points. Now the other exercise we did, we shifted gears and I started talking about perspective. Really the basics of perspective is that things that are further away from you are smaller than they are if they're up close. And so one trick for getting things in your drawing to follow perspective, this one you're going to need a ruler. And what you want to do is you want to start with the horizon. You want to decide on your paper where you want your horizon at. So with perspective, let me draw out 3 pieces of paper and show you your options for when you're drawing your horizon line. So here's the thing. You can put your horizon line up top like this. You can put it in the middle, or you can put it down at the bottom like this. That's your horizon line. You're deciding where is the horizon in my drawing. So what do these mean? Well, when it's in the center, that's pretty close to, say, how a person viewing the world while they're standing. That's kind of the basic level of where you would put that. Normally, I'd put it just slightly below center. So, to me, down here kind of represents a standing human, and that's where you would put it. And they're just looking straight ahead. Now, if the horizon is down low like this, then that means we're looking up. So if we have a person and their gaze is looking up like this, that implies that the horizon is down low like this. So the person is looking straight ahead. And if you have the horizon high on your paper, that implies that your viewer is looking down. All right, so that's what the horizon means. So that's a decision you have to make before you start drawing. So let's just start with a blank piece of paper. I'm going to put the horizon roughly about right here. Like I said, just a little bit below center. And I'm going to use a ruler for this exercise. You want a ruler. I'm going to switch to an HB. I want to use softer because these are construction lines, but I still want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So now the trick is you need to pick a vanishing point for whatever items you want to see receding into the background. So what I'm going to do is I want to draw some fence posts, but I want it to seem like they're in a line, but they're receding away from us. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick a vanishing point right here, and I'm just going to make a dot. Now from this dot, I can draw construction lines that are going to help me put everything in the right spot. So here's one, and I can draw as many of these as I want. This is called one-point perspective. It's called one-point perspective because I'm just using one point on the horizon line to help me plot out where everything is going to line up. So I'll just give myself a few lines. Whether I use them all or not, doesn't matter. And I want them light enough. I don't want them to compete with my horizon because I want to make sure I can still see where my horizon is. I don't want to get confused. So now I need to decide where is my ground plane. Here's my horizon. Where's my ground plane? And there's no wrong answer here. I just kind of look at this and decide how I want this to look visually. If I want the fence post more coming towards me, I can use this as the ground plane, or I can use this one. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to start with this one. And I'm just going to draw a vertical line in for my fence post. I'm not going to make it all detailed or anything. And I'm going to say I want to go up to this one here. This is going to be the top line, this construction line right here. So there's post number 1. Now for post number 2, I get to decide where I want it, how close it is. I'm just going to put it right here. Now for equally spaced items that you want going back in perspective, there is a method for calculating where they go, but it's a little bit convoluted. And for this class, I didn't want to get too into it, but just know that there is a way to calculate how to space these out precisely to make them seem like they belong in this perspective and they're evenly spaced. But for now, we're just going to fake it. And by faking it, I mean I'm going to look at the space here between these two. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to just make it substantially less. So I'm going to do this right here. Again, draw another vertical line. Do the same thing here. Another vertical line. And making the space less. So this is what we call taking artistic license. I'm not being precise with the placement on these. And let's go ahead and just do one more. We'll do 5 posts. And notice how I'm making them all stop at this construction line and then this construction line. And this is how we're giving the impression or the illusion of perspective. Now I'm going to go ahead and give myself another construction line. That's another thing is you can, whenever you need one, you can just add in another one. Because I want to do a cross tie. I want to do like some wood that kind of ties these together. So I'm going to do a vertical line here, and I'm just going to use these construction lines and I'll draw over the top of them. Bring this all the way back to this last one. Just like that. So from here I can maybe plot these out a little more. And mind you, I'm being very rough and sketchy. These are all construction lines. I haven't really started drawing yet. That one I went too wide. I feel like these two are too wide. Wasn't paying attention. There we go. So there's my fence. I'll probably put a little bit of grass underneath them where they're coming out of the ground. Got my horizon line. Now I can plot other things in this picture too. If I want everything going to the same vanishing point, let's say, you know, if I want to plot like a path, a little path that's coming alongside the fence, I'm going to use this same vanishing point and just draw a line like that. And then let's bring another one more like this. And I could dress this scene up. I could, let's say I want to put a tree right here. I'm just going to put a placeholder, a horizontal line for where the tree is going to be coming out of the ground. Bring some branches out. Have it go off the paper like that. And then maybe, so it doesn't look so dead, I'll just kind of rough in where I'm going to have some foliage to kind of break it up. Like that. So this is the construction phase. This is how I would design out a drawing. I've got some empty space up here. Maybe I'll have a little cloud up in the sky like this, and maybe I'll have another one in the distance right here like that, just so I've got something in that space there. And then along my horizon, I'm just gonna kind of rough in some little mountains in the background. Maybe I'll bring them up, get them a little bigger up here. And I'm drawing through things so that I maintain their contour. So I don't break up that contour, and then of course I won't draw. I can erase those if that's confusing before I actually start drawing. So now that I have my construction lines in, I would go ahead and take a darker pencil and I would actually start drawing. So from here with these fence posts, this side is aligned with this construction line here. If we want to make it three-dimensional, I'm just going to go ahead and draw a horizontal line like this on the top And then I can also do it on the bottom. And then I'm not going to draw straight lines. I want to give the idea that maybe these are old fence posts. Maybe I could put in a little bit of wood texture like that. And this is why you use a light pencil for your construction lines, because you want your construction lines to be very light so they don't compete with the final drawing. So I do the same thing here on this post. And then go down the line and do each one. And these construction lines will help ensure that this fence looks like it's going away from us. Maybe I'll break up the horizon a little bit so it's not so straight. Draw over that and just kind of maybe curve it a little so it's maybe it's a little bit hilly. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. I just wanted to show you an idea for a drawing process to help you get things where you want them before you actually start drawing. And then even this path, to me, I don't think you'd see a perfectly straight path like that, but I could use these guidelines to kind of help me plot the contour around this path. So maybe I just kind of break it up a little bit, but still try and follow those guides. You know, maybe I'll have a few little rocks laying around. Just make sure as you get further and further back, if you're going to have rocks and they're all about this size, then make them smaller as they get further away from us. And that's all we covered in class 2. The last thing we talked about is we decided that everybody in the class is going to pick their own subject matter to draw for their final project. So by next class, I want you to have an idea of what you would like to draw. And one of the students asked if it was okay to use photographs as reference for our final projects, and I said yes. Keep that in mind, that whatever you want to draw, you can use photographs as reference. We can set up still lifes in the classroom if that's helpful, but get an idea of what you would like to draw. Have that ready, because next week we're going to talk about that so that we can start planning our projects.